I'd like to call to order the Finance Committee tonight, Monday, November 25th, 2019. Could I have a roll call, please?
Chairperson Palafis.
Present.
Vice Chairperson Newell.
Present.
Trustee Gata.
Present.
Trustee Mills.
Present.
Trustee Stanton.
Present.
Trustee Arnett.
Present.
Mayor McLeod.
Present. Thank you. We have a quorum. I could use a motion and a second for the approval of the minutes for October 28th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions, comments? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. New business, we have three items. The first is a request approval to decrease the number of members on the 4th of July Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Trustee Stanton?
Why?
Stan wants a smaller group, so I'm just joking.
No, I'm just curious as to why we're down to 9, and who of those 9
Mayor.
are on the committee?
Right now, there's 8 members that are on the commission, and there's 15 that are authorized. And the commission started talking just recently about the last festival and how many people they really think they need to run the festival. And they thought that 15 was just too many, and that's why they're all odd number on the commission, so they thought that 9 would be the right number.
But who are on the commission now, just so I know? Are they all,
You want the names of the 8 people existing?
well, are they all Sears Center people, or?
No, I'm on it.
I know you're
Norm
on it,
Darling's
Bill.
on it.
The Park District has a representative.
Representative, yeah.
There's some village employees that are on it.
Do we have any
Linda
regular
Scheck's on it.
civilians on it?
The chairman is.
Yeah, Norm Darling.
He's
So-
a Haverford resident.
He's the only one?
Yes.
I think so.
Linda Scheck
Yeah.
is still on it. Mike Sopik,
Yeah, Melinda works for us.
Yusuf,
Yeah, she's a resident, though.
Ben,
She is.
Craig are the guys that aren't.
I mean, I think it should be at least 11, just to have a couple more citizens on there.
You want to be on?
No. I've been there and done that kind of stuff.
Or do you want the majority to be residents, so 5 and 4? Because
Something
that
like
preserves
that.
the 4 that are there.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, I'm throwing it out there too, I guess.
It's not really a staff issue, it's something this
Yeah.
group has to decide.
Personally, I think 9 is enough. I mean, we still have volunteers, but it's difficult when you have 15 people or sometimes even 11 people to get most of them there. I mean, the bigger the commission, the harder it is to,
Well,
Get
I know
everybody involved.
Mike and Karen and I all agree that, getting 11 there on a plan commission evening was not always what we could do.
Yeah.
We go from anywhere from 9 to 10 to maybe 7 sometimes. I'm just throwing it out there.
I think the commission also looks at it from the different functions they have and the chairman in charge of each of those functions. They don't have 15 functions that they need chaired. So there was some, when there were 15 members on, some of them really didn't have a chairmanship over anything. So I think that's one of the reasons why they wanted to pare it down a little bit too.
Trustee Gata?
Yeah, with 15 that was on there, probably, how many do you usually get to come to a meeting? 12, 9?
Now, I mean,
10?
all 8 show. When it was 15, I mean, not everyone showed up to every meeting.
That's exactly correct. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay. Trustee Mills?
Well, I would hope that we would keep an open mind that if we do have residents who want to get involved with it, we would once again extend it. I mean, they don't have to be chairman of something in order to be involved with it. We all know that from other committees, but, I don't want to deter anyone from getting involved if they want to be involved on something like this, because it is a major village event. So I tended to agree with Trustee Stanton, but I know quorums can be hard to accomplish, but that's all I'll say. If we're putting it down to 9, I want it to be with an open mind for future.
I've never known the mayor to not want to grow a commission. So,
we expanded a lot of them.
yeah, you have. The Arts Commission's big, and it's hard to get everybody there. But now that the 60 is over, I know some people have some free time, Anyway, I'm just kidding. All right, so we have a motion and a second. No modifications. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Ayes have it. Number 2 is a request approval to enter into a settlement agreement with Hoffman Estates Acquisitions LLC.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions, comments?
Yeah, I do have a question.
Trustee Stanton?
I know they bought the property for $21 million, which technically should be probably what the property is assessed at. How did we come up with $11,083,159?
Mr. Copland may be able to add more information on this.
Use your mic, turn the mic on.
By pushing?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Copland may be able to add some information to this. The whole thing started with the fact that the property was assessed at $226,500,000.
Yeah, it's
And in the course-
ridiculously high.
Higher?
No.
Just closer to
Okay.
the,
Really? That's not what I would want. Anyhow, as we did the redevelopment agreement and worked toward the acquisition of the property by Somerset, we realized that there had to be some sort of value that truly reflected what the property was going to cost, and the ultimate purchase price was $21 million. We arrived instead at $11 million, and that would only be agreed for the first year, which is 2019. After 2019, the village and the Somerset people will look again at what the new assessed value is and come up with an amount if they can. This is an effort to have an agreement reached at the Board of Review before it escalates through attorney's fees and a lot of time being spent on additional appraisals of the property, which just add to the value. So you may start at 11, but by the time you add in the attorneys and the other costs that will occur, we thought 11 million was a fair value for the first year. If you get into a situation where the overassessment, and in this case, I think we would all agree that 226 million for an enormous building that had been vacant for a number of years was a drastic overreach. If that tax bill had been paid, ultimately there would have had to have been a refund, and that makes it difficult for the taxing districts for them to budget. If they know they're going to get this amount of money per year or approximately that amount, but if there's a huge refund, they're going to see very little, and their budgeting becomes more difficult. So, Mark, do you want to add something to the value?
No, that's a really good explanation. The only thing I would add is that presumably, as parts of the building are occupied, it will go up over time. So that 11 million would be the base, but clearly it'll go up.
I got a feeling you're going to have problems with the assessor every year.
Well, and that's exactly why in our development agreement with Somerset, we have provisions in there that allow the village and Somerset to mutually go in tandem and request this exact type of action from the assessor.
But do you think the assessor's going to go along with that?
Well,
There-
we don't know what the assessor do, but usually if the taxing district and the property owner go together, it's successful.
Especially when you go in at the Board of Review level and you haven't escalated even up to the property tax
The Board of
review board.
Review may help you. I don't know about the assessor helping you. He certainly didn't help me. So,
So, and the other thing to remember, this is a TIFed property now, and that in the early year, you want that to be lower so that as it grows over time, it grows increment, not the base. So this is not a bad thing for us at all. This is actually a good thing for us.
Yeah, you want it as close to zero as you can be.
Well, you're not gonna, true, but you're not gonna get that on a developed piece of property. What the assessor obviously didn't take into consideration the fact that the property was vacant and had been vacant for a number of years to come up with that $26 million value, which was ridiculous.
well, he may have known it and didn't care, but
Yeah.
we'll never know.
There are few decisions that are disturbed at the Board of Review level if the parties reach an agreement. And I think that's what we're looking for, especially knowing that year after year, the value is going to increase.
But the note said you have evidence that they would be amicable to that amount, so I'm assuming there's been some pre-discussion.
Yes, there has.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any other questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carried. Item number 3 is a request approval to enter into a settlement agreement with TF Hoffman Estates, Illinois LLC, and Community Unit School District 300.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second.
Let me first say that to call it each of these a settlement agreement, it reflects simply an agreement of the parties. This is really not any kind of a settlement of a dispute between us and 300 or the current owner of the corporate campus of Sears, which is the TF Hoffman Estates, Illinois LLC. Again, the property's been grossly overvalued. If that tax were to be paid without the agreement that the parties are proposing now, there will be budget funding issues for the taxing districts ultimately down the line. And it follows on the heels of a similar agreement we did a couple of years ago where we agreed with Sears, which was then the owner, and District 300. In fact, a portion of our $350,000 was used by District 300 to come up with a professional appraisal. So all of these values are based on appraisals of different companies. In this particular instance, I guess we've reached the $12 million assessed value. In any event, we think that, again, approaching it at the Board of Review level by agreement of District 300 and the successor to Sears, which we hope will be the new developer for the property, will we will avoid gross refunds and allow for better planning among the taxing districts. We've had no objection this time by any taxing district, nor did we have for the 15, 16 years.
Trustee Stan.
Just out of curiosity, what happens if even the Board of Appeals doesn't agree?
I don't believe it will be elevated to the Board of Appeals if it's agreed at the Board of Review.
Board of Review, okay.
It would only be escalated if somebody filed a subsequent objection, and we have no objections by the other 10-some taxing districts. In fact, they would agree with this because it allows them to more accurately plan what their finances are going to be.
All righty. Any other questions, comments? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Moving on to reports, information only. We have the Finance Department monthly report. Any questions or comments? The report will be filed. Number 2 is Information Systems Department monthly report. Any questions, comments? That report will also be filed. Number 3 is the Sears Center monthly report. Any questions, comments?
I will be briefer than Ben. Just wanted to point out the Beer Fest was a sellout last weekend and a big success, and AEW Wrestling is coming back this Wednesday night. There are still some tickets available, and it is going to be broadcast on TNT, which is pretty exciting.
Pass.
That's all.
That's right. Just be able to get the mayor as a ring announcer. That'd sell the rest out. All right, that report will be filed. Thanks, Mark. President's report.
Yeah, Wednesday, the 20th, I participated in the Northwestern Municipal Conference Legislative Committee meeting. We also had the Senior Commission Harvest Luncheon at the Stone Gate. It's always a great event. On Friday, the 22nd, presentation on Thanksgiving, and they actually put a turkey together with, paper and glue, and it was a lot of fun. And both sets of their grandparents were there, and we had a great time. They call it Special Persons Day or Grandparents' Day. If you don't have a grandparent, you can bring somebody else, and they talk about what they're thankful for. And try as much as I could, neither one would put on that they're thankful they had a good mayor in Hoffman Estates, but I managed to survive that. On Saturday the 23rd, we had the ribbon cutting for the best dental spa on 2505 West Gulf Road in the shopping center where Mariano's is at. Man, is that a beautiful facility. And they spend a lot of money on equipment. And it fills where the old Radio Shack and AT&T stores were previously. And And Sunday, we watched the Bears game. Yeah.
And they won.
Oh, that's true. Christmas tree lighting. It's on my calendar. How did I miss that? Yeah.
Better
Friendship
hope
tree
Bears are
lighting
watching.
ceremony. Yeah, that was a mob. It gets bigger every year. The fireworks seem to get better every year, too. So, well, thanks for pointing that out. I have it here, and I had it marked. I just didn't read it. Today I had Mayor for a Day, a young gentleman named Waters, who he also wants to be mayor, as did the last Mayor for a Day I had, so they're lining up.
Was
was
this
a
another
fun day.
8-year-old, or is this someone older?
This was an 8-year-old, yeah, yeah. And so we did the usual tour, and it was a great time. I always enjoy those things, and going inside the water tower is always a big hit. That's all I got.
All right, thank you, sir. Doesn't appear we have anything in other.
I have a other.
Oh, go ahead, sir.
I want to wish the mayor a happy birthday on this Thursday, the 28th. It's a milestone birthday. I don't know if he wants to give out his age, so we won't mention it. But happy birthday, Bill.
Thank you very much.
Right. If he doesn't want to say, you could Google him.
No, I was born in 1949, so you can figure it out yourself. You know.
That's right. Do the math.
They're on my Facebook page, so. it's no
That's
big
right.
deal.
Well, have a great week. No items in review. I will entertain a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to call the Public Work and Utility Committee to order this November 25th, 2019. May I have a roll call, please?
Chairperson Newell,
Present.
Vice Chairperson Gata,
Present.
Trustee Palafis.
Present.
Trustee Mills.
Present?
Trustee Stanton.
Present.
Trustee Arnett.
Present.
Mayor McLeod.
Present.
Okay, we have everyone in a quorum. The next item would be the approval of minutes from October 28th, 2019.
So moved.
Second?
Motion is second. Any corrections, additions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
No nays, motion passed. Under new business, we have 4 items. And the first item is the request approval of the 2019 Village of Hoffman Estates Sustainability Plan.
So moved.
Second.
Suzanne?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. This is the conclusion of about a year and a half of work. We have our sustainability coordinator, our GR Core sustainability coordinator, AmeriCorps. Kimberly White is here this evening, and she did the bulk of the work on the sustainability plan. So I'm going to go through a little bit of the process with you, and then Kimberly's going to step up and tell you a little bit about the plan itself. The Village of Hoffman Estates is a regional leader in sustainability. We've won a number of awards for our sustainability programs as recently as last year. We did a light replacement at the Sears Center Arena, which won us an Illinois Sustainability Award. We've been a Tree City USA for 27 years. We got a Soul Smart Bronze certification this year, which basically just shows that the village is open for solar development, and we support residential solar development. So we've done a lot of efficiency upgrades wherever possible. All of the facilities we've built in the last 10 years, as you're aware, have been LEED certified. So we've really been kind of out front in a lot of these ways. And so the sustainability plan was a good way for us to look back and kind of, make a list of all the things we've done and really kind of brag about ourselves a little bit. The initial sustainability plan that the village had was done in 2013. So we were one of the first in the region to complete a sustainability plan, and sort of were a model for a lot of other communities that went forward and did that as well. And here we are at the Soul Smart Recognition Award. It was part of the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus. There were 23 communities that went through this process this year. As part of the board's goals that were set in 2018, there were sustainability goals, both long-term and short-term. And one of them, in the short term, was to do a new sustainability plan. And that was also a goal of the Sustainability Commission. We've been talking about it for the last 3 years since I came on board, and I know before that they were interested in moving forward with it. So this fulfills not only the board's goals, but also those of the Sustainability Commission. In addition to the sustainability-related goals that we're completing by completing this plan, the plan also supports the board's goals in all the other areas, transportation, infrastructure, et cetera, where those goals were set out. So that's good, I hope. And we made an effort to make sure that the sustainability plan is going to be and is integrated with all of our other documents, planning documents, our comprehensive plan, and the comprehensive plan that we're budgeted to do in 2020, and the bicycle plan, and all of our budgeting documents. So those are all going to be interrelated and hopefully support one another. As I mentioned, we have Kimberly here through an AmeriCorps program. She was with us for a full year on a full-time basis, and her main task was to complete the sustainability plan, and she did a lot of work. We're also grateful to the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus. They are the ones that set up the GR Corps program. It's sort of a pioneering program. It's, again, the first in the region. We were one of 8 communities that participated in the first year. And that's also supported by the Environmental Protection Agency. One of the things we wanted to do with the sustainability plan is to align it with the Greenest Region Compact, which is something that the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus put together, where they reviewed 30 sustainability plans from other communities in the area, and including ours, and came up with a list of best practices for what a plan should look like and what it should entail, what it should include. And so it sort of serves as a menu for available projects that we could choose to move forward with. That's one of the things that Kimberly reviewed, as well as all of the scientific literature that's out there in terms of what we can expect to happen with the climate and other things over the next 50 years. She looked also not only at the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus information, but she went out and she found the sustainability plans and read and reviewed all of the ones she could find from not only the region, but also nationally, just to see sort of what other communities are doing and make sure that we are in line with that. She reviewed all of our internal documents. Like I mentioned before, we did a survey for 2 separate surveys, actually, for the residents and the businesses to make sure that those stakeholder groups have their voice included in the plan. We met with all the departments at least once, most of them twice, to get ideas and talk through things and get their feedback. And then the Sustainability Commission, Natalie Lichtenberg from our Sustainability Commission is also here. They reviewed the plan at various steps and provided feedback to us too. So they recommended on November 5th that the sustainability plan come to the committee and then the board for review and approval. Now I'm going to let Kimberly talk a little bit about what the plan entails. I think it's beautiful. I think she did a really wonderful job, so here she is.
So the introduction of this plan started out with some guiding principles that laid the groundwork for everything that follows through the rest of the plan. The 4 that we came up with were growing, greenness, community, and leadership. The sort of motto for sustainability in the village is growing to greenness, so I thought it would be good to incorporate that here. And these 4 principles also reflect the 3 pillars of sustainability, which are economy, which is growing greenness, the environment, community for social equity. And those 3 pillars are supported by the foundation of leadership. And part of this process was sort of shifting the focus of what sustainability is away from, just the environment. Sustainability is not just being green, it's taking steps to ensure the long-term success of the community as a whole. So the plan itself is comprised of 7 goal categories and a total of 70 recommended actions. Governance and municipal operations ended up being the focus of this, and that's mostly because of the action items included are building on current accomplishments and the continuation of ongoing projects and practices. And these 7 categories were based and built off of the categories that are contained in the Greenest Region Compact from the Municipal Mayor's Caucus. The last part of the plan is an implementation matrix that is a sort of a reference document that contains the goals and action items in the previous section that I just just mentioned. This section is hopefully going to be used for, to improve the usefulness and implementation of this plan and make sure that it is a working, living document. There were 3 other items that we included in this section of the plan. So for each action item, we identified what department is going to be, spearheading these activities, what approximate time frame we're looking at, and those are flexible based on available resources and the current goals of the village and the board and the administration. And then the third thing was a resilience and investment ratio, which looks at the environmental and sustainability impact based on the amount of financial and timing resources that are going to need to be put in.
Thank you, Kimberly. One of the things that we wanted to make sure to do is, as we're referencing the capital improvement plan, to make sure that all of the projects that are in there end up in the sustainability plan as well, because a lot of those have sustainability aspects to them. We may not think of them in that way, but we wanted to make sure that we were highlighting that. So throughout the plan, when there are projects that are also within the CIP, those are noted through the plan. In terms of next steps, we have a lot of projects in here, a lot of different initiatives that Kimberly has recommended. And again, a lot of these are best practices. Some of them come from other communities where they've worked well. We may or may not go forward with all of them. It's going to be a process. Through the budgeting process, through the CIP, we're going to work to prioritize those projects and recommend those that we think should go forward. Obviously, those will all be subject to approval by the board and the resources that we have available at any given time. In terms of maintaining a conversation about sustainability, one of the things we wanted to do was during our annual report, each of the departments puts together their own piece of the annual report, and we thought that it made sense to add a section on sustainability just to provide updates on an annual basis for some accountability and just to make sure that this plan does continue to be something that we reference and use. In 2020, in the draft budget, we have a person such as Kimberly, hopefully budgeted. So as we're looking at these projects and thinking about timing, potentially this person could be utilized to kind of move some of these sustainability goals forward. That's all we got. So I just wanted to thank Kimberly again, and also the Sustainability Commission and all the department heads and staff for all of the hard work that went into this. It was a lot of effort from a lot of different people, and this is our Sustainability Commission here, and you can see Kimberly off to the side there. And so I would entertain questions if anybody has any.
Any questions? Okay, well, thank you, everyone. That was a really lot of work. Thank you. We're sorry to be losing Kimberly, but thank you for all the work and everything that you've done on that. So do we have anything to add, anyone? Nothing? Trustee Palafis?
Yeah, I think it's awesome. Great job.
Mayor?
Yeah, I'll echo everyone else. It's a fantastic job that you did. This is a project that is very near and dear to the hearts of the board members, and I know we're very pleased with what you've accomplished here. Now we just have to keep on going. Can't rest on any laurels. But you've shown us the path.
Trustee Palafis?
What I think, to expand on one thing, is we had the Green Commission and the Environmental Commission, and we put them together, and I think the work you did really kind of complements that by widening the breadth of just green or just, siloed, if you will. So specifically, that's what I like the most about it. That's all.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
No nays, motion passed. And thank you again. Stop by and see us when you get a chance. Item number 2, request approval of change order to the contract with Water Well Solutions of Elborn, Illinois for the abandonment of Well 9 in an amount of $25,609.22 for a total not to exceed $123,918.22.
So moved.
Second.
Joe, do you have anything to add about
Sure.
that?
The main reason that we had a change order when we put in the permit to abandon the well to Cook County, they came back with significantly more work than was anticipated at the beginning of the project, as far as the number of plugs that had to be in the different layers of the aquifers. So that required shifting between pea gravel and concrete, and extensively more concrete as a whole. So It's the labor time that went into it, the mobilization, switching the equipment back and forth from pea gravel to concrete, pea gravel to concrete, as they were filling the well up to abandon it. So that's the majority of what the change order is for.
Trustee Stanton?
Wouldn't it be nice if we could bill the county for the extra money?
Yeah, we can't do that.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, really. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No nays, motion passed. Item number 3, request authorization to award contract for tower painting and miscellaneous maintenance work at Stonington Boulevard Tower, which is the T2, and Huntington Boulevard Tower, T4, to LC United Painting Company out of Sterling Heights, Michigan, in an amount not to exceed $700,000.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Anything to add?
I was just going to ask you realistically when you think they would start.
There's only 2 times during the year that they can paint, and that's spring and fall. So we're looking to paint T4 in the spring, most likely, and then T2 will be in the fall of next year. So the temperatures have to be steadily above 45 for them to do it. And then we're obviously going to have to drain the tower completely while they do their work. So we want to get if we're going to take a tower down for painting, we want to get it back up before high usage season in the summer. So, preferably before the middle of June. So probably late April into May is probably the window for the spring tower.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Trustee Stanton?
Joe, how long does it take to paint one of these?
The T4 requires a total outside blast, so that one's going to be a little bit longer. Both the towers are going to have some type of containment, which is the giant shower curtain that goes up around it. That obviously adds some time to it. You're probably looking at a month to a month and a half.
Thank you.
All right, seeing no other questions, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
No nays, motion passed. Item number 4, request authorization to award contract for purchase of an articulated wheel loader for sidewalk snow removal, including accessories to Russo Power Equipment, which is out of Schiller Park, Illinois, which was a low bid, in an amount not to exceed $55,472.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Anything to add, anyone? Trustee Mills?
What is an articulated wheel loader? I gotta ask.
Essentially, it's a sidewalk snow removal. It's a machine. It's called Avant. It has.
You have to push it or?
No, you ride in it. It's
okay.
an enclosed cab.
Okay.
It has a number of attachments that we can use. This one is going to come with the broom, which is super effective for snow removal. It's kind of a new technology that people are using for sidewalks within the last 10 years or so. A broom, we're going to have a blower. If the snow gets deep, then we'll put the blower attachment on it. We'll also have a blade. So all those, you can drop one, pick the other one up, and go and use it. We'll also have a spreader on the back so that we can spread salt.
How wide of a path does it cover?
The ones that we're looking at are 60 inches. The paths that we're looking to do, which are around the tollway interchange, they're 8 foot wide. Okay. So we're thinking one pass one way, one the other way, and it should be able to clear the entire path.
Thank you.
Trustee Stanton?
So these sidewalks are 8 feet wide?
The paths, there's sidewalks and then there's paths. The paths that we have are asphalt paths, and they go essentially from the right near the bridge, the under bridge that goes under the off and on ramps, all the way up to Barrington Road and all the way down. We measured it, and it's about a half mile of sidewalk, or we call it sidewalk, but they're 8 foot wide paths. And then we do have another stretch. We're responsible to do Barrington Road from the assembly essentially to where people, if they're coming up from the Pace bus stop, up the path, and then all the way down to the assembly to that intersection.
Joni, do you hear? They're 8 foot wide. They're big enough for those golf carts that you were talking about.
Very.
Yeah.
Trustee Palafis?
Will it be wheels or a track?
It's wheeled. It's a wheeled machine.
The tracks look cooler. Just
They
saying.
do, but more maintenance.
Yeah. Like the unmarked cop cars, you know. Just saying.
Okay. All righty. No more questions, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
No nays, motion passed. Reports for information only. First one is the Department of Public Works monthly report. Anything to add, Mr.
Nothing to add.
Okay, thank you. So we will receive and file that. Item number 2 is Department of Development Services monthly engineering report of the Transportation and Engineering Division. I don't think we have anything to add, okay. So we'll receive and file that one. And President's report, do we have anything to add?
Nothing else, trustee Newell.
Okay, thank you. And under other, happy birthday, Mayor.
Thank you.
Items in review, nothing. And may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
No nays, motion passed, and we are adjourned.
Sounds good.
I'd like to call to order the Public Health and Service Committee here in Hoffman Estates, November 25th, 2019. May I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Gata,
Present.
Vice Chairman Palafis.
Present.
Trustee Newell,
Present.
Trustee Mills,
Present?
Trustee Stanton.
Present.
Trustee Arnett,
Present.
Mayor McLeod.
Present.
Thank you, and we have a quorum. Approval of the minutes of October 28th, 2019.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any corrections? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Under new business, we only have one item. 1, request approval of mutual aid agreement between the Village of Hoffman Estates and other MAPUS communities for emergency medical and transportation services.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Chief, would you like to add as far as telling us a little bit about the MAPUS with this?
So the agenda item in front of you is a mutual aid agreement between the Village of Hoffman Estates and the neighboring communities that we respond with within MABUS. MABUS is our mutual aid pact that we are involved in our region. What this agreement does is it allows us to allows each community to bill for their ambulance transports equally and fairly to all communities affected. So as an example, at times when we have a heavy call volume and we bring a neighboring community in, let's say Schaumburg or Palatine Rural or one of the neighboring communities come in, they're going to charge our residents for transports as if it was a Hoffman Estates ambulance. So all the rules that we would apply to our residents, they would apply to our residents. That way it's fair and consistent. If we're going to their community, we're going to do the same for them and across the board amongst all the communities involved. This way, because every town has a little bit different billing process, if you will. Some counter bill, some will send to collections, some have a higher rate for non-resident versus resident. This way, anyone that comes into our community is going to charge our residents our resident rate and follow our billing practices. So they wouldn't be counter billed, they wouldn't go to collections and so on. And the same would be true for us going into any other of the neighboring communities.
And the other communities have agreed to this? Are we the first ones?
No, at this point, we are, of the group of approximately 8 or 10 that have signed on so far, I believe we're going to be the 5th tonight. And the balance are scheduled at their various meetings during this month.
What if the other ones don't go along with it?
Then the ones that do will use the same practices, and those that don't, that would be up to those communities. We would obviously look at any of those that would regularly respond into our community and make sure that as best as possible, we were making sure that we would work with those as best as possible.
So this has to
Trustee
be,
Gate, if I could, the current practice, if we respond to another community is, another community comes into Hoffman Estates and picks up one of our residents and transports them to the hospital, let's say it's Schaumburg. Schaumburg would bill our resident at the Schaumburg rates. That has been a PR problem, because our residents would say, just because you guys weren't available, why am I paying Schaumburg's and following their policy? Basically, all the communities, the chiefs have all agreed to recommend this because it's been a problem virtually everywhere. So we're pretty certain that all the communities are going to sign on. It really cleans up an issue for everybody.
very good. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Chief. Under reports, information only, number 1, Police Department Monthly Report. Chief, anything to add? Nothing? Received and filed. Number 2, Health and Human Services Monthly Report. Doctor? Nothing to add. Thank you. Received and filed. And number 3, Emergency Management Coordinator Monthly Report. Received and filed. And for number 4, Fire Department Monthly Report. Anything else to add, Chief? Very good. Report received and filed. President's report?
Nothing to add, Trustee Gata.
And happy birthday to you also, and have many, many more.
Thank you very much, sir.
Anything, nothing in other, nothing in items in review, and looking for an adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. We are adjourned. Thank you.